get any people playing.
Yeah, it's an evening. Would you want to explain it, John?
Yeah.
You'll do more of these than I have.
It's a thing that's organised by approved by the council to go ahead. The idea is that every organisation in the village, or just in the village, they're asked to send 2 people to the awards evening. So the chairman has no control over who comes, only who's invited, which organisation. So the knitted circle gets it, and the allotments people. And when the allotments are judged, and when the gardens are judged, the front gardens, they have an award, and that's the night where we give the awards out. And it's also the night where we give out all the cheques from our donations. All the cheques that we give through the year are given out on that night. And that's all there is to it. And as far as I'm concerned, the cost of it, I don't mind. I'm up to saving 9 pence. And do without the awards evening, because that's all it can save me off my rates, 9 pence.
But Mrs Thomas agreed to do it at the Anston Day.
It's not practical.
Is that still on? No,
No, I thought it was.
We will do it if you want us to, yeah.
I don't mind an awards evening, but I do mind giving people free food and free entertainment. John?
I think by, it's not, we're not going to town really, we're not going to Nigel Lawson or anything like that. We get pine peas from Butcher Shop in Anston. Pine peas at Butcher Shop.
So it's good. No, it's
Forward
Again,
ahead.
I'm on the same thinking as Chris.
No drinks.
Both
Nothing.
quiz.
She knows the stuff.
I'm same thing as Chris. I thought both the quiz and the awards night was going to be done on Sunday, was it?
It's not feasible, not on Sunday.
Why is it not
Why is it not feasible?
Well, if somebody can organise that in that length of time to have the quiz night and the awards night on the same night, then
I've seen this one with the awards.
I have to beg to differ, because I think we're sort of rushing into things to this. I think the Anston Day needs all the time it can get to get that together, and I still think that the awards night and the quiz night should be separate. At least for this next year, we've budgeted for them. The money is there, and there's no reason why we shouldn't go ahead as it. If people want to consider it again at the end of the year, the budget meetings, and come up with alternative proposals, that's fine. And if we can organise it next year, if there's an Anston Day, if we can combine at least one of them, I think to combine the awards and the quiz would be very difficult.
We are able to take
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's feasible. I'm not sure about the awards, even because we've not even gone out to judging.
It was just going to be
I know.
in the day,
No, sorry. Just remind you, can't actually speak. So Miles's fault that. So Ivan, did you finish?
Right. Can I just remind ourselves how much these awards evening is going to cost? Do we know the figure?
£625.
My personal view is we shouldn't have this, and I've always objected to this. At one time it was seen as a shindig for staff. That's what it was seen as. I don't think it was seen as that now.
No staff attend.
They used to in the past. Anyway,
Alright,
leave it at that then. Leave it at that. I've always been against that, because the way I view it is the same type of people, i.e. the same groups that are asked every single year. It might be different individuals that turn up, but it's the same people. It's not open to everybody in Anston. It's by, should we say, invitation only. And I think if we're spending taxpayers' money, it should be open to every single person, and it's not. In effect, my personal opinion is it's a closed shop to a certain extent, and I won't be voting for it.
How much is the quiz night, John?
£200.
£250.
£50, yeah. That costs that. It's going to save me off my rates about £3 a year.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, Mark.
It's not a case of your money.
What you
Christine,
I don't like
You're not asking everybody else in the village of Port.
Christine,
I disagree in that it's like these groups, these community groups that provide for the community, there might be a few like the skate park. I think this is our little one. We're not invited to that, by the way, I just want to find that out yet. But there's a small group of people providing for the many, or for the rest of the village, and I'm sure the Horticultural Society and Anston Parish, they provide it for the whole of the community, and I think it's in recognition of them to to invite them down, especially for their, what they've done for the larger group of community that might not necessarily be noticed.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I think if we go down the route of abandoning all these things that we built up over the years, then we're going down the wrong way to actually to incorporate the community together and everybody to work together. I think it's recognition of some people that have served the community for many years. I think, was it Mrs. Cawthorne last year got service, and I think she's probably done between 30 and 40 years in various organisations in the village, keeping them going. I think it's important that we recognise people that do that community service for nothing at the end of the day, because the group's all right, we give them a grant, but that's to keep them going, and that's to enable, you know, we need people to use this hall. If we start putting things like that and we discourage people, then we'll never get funding for the project to do this, because nobody will be using the hall. We've got to show that it's used, so it's a double-edged sword. We don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot, and for the amount of money that we're talking about, I think it's short-sighted, especially if we cancel it this year.
Yeah.
I think it gives us, if we leave it as it is, it's in the budget, but it gives us time to think about it and work with the community groups to see whether they have a different take on it, whether they like to see it done differently, and maybe refresh some of that as to how it's done. I admit it's probably got in a bit of a rut in some respects, but we can also have a look at that. And I know like this and the quiz night at the cricket club, it does get people together in winter and March. We used to have them close together, but it gets people to come out and attend and speak to each other, and you know, it's not as though we're laying on drink and things like that. As John says, it's pie and peas and a bit of entertainment, and it's no more complicated.
No.
Ivan.
Thanks, Glad.
Sorry.
Can I suggest that, like we've done with a lot of other issues that have already been agreed and budgeted for this year, we just go ahead with it and then review when it comes to the budget setting time. I know there's obviously people who want it and there's other people who don't want it, but just like we've done with those, just like we've done with other things, probably better off just letting it go for now and look at it at the budget when we do the budget setting.
Can I just make one part comment? I have had an email from the chairman of the cricket club who watched the video of the last parish meeting, and she's contacted me with a sort of breakdown of how the quiz night works and what have you, and I'd like to bring that to the next meeting on the July the 8th, just to outline the comments that she's made and why and that you know, she thinks that should continue. Having read it, it makes perfect sense to me, but again, I'll bring that in front of members. There's only me that's had that direct, so I'll bring that to next meeting and we'll have a discussion on that. But I think that's number 4. Yeah, So number 4, yeah. I mean, I can bring that tonight if we've got time. If not, it'll come on the next meeting. Drew, if you want to just.
Just to say, the awards evening is a great idea as long as all groups in the community are invited. Can we look at restraining the cost? Can we look at maybe getting some donations from local businesses for the resources? I mean, we could even make some sandwiches or something like that. It's not going to cost a huge
But you are actually restricted by the number of people you get into the place.
We're limited to what we can have in here. That's the problem.
Yeah, this is the awards night in here. The other one is at the cricket club. We can only get 70 in there, maximum.
Can I just make a suggestion then? Are members happy to? We budgeted for those 2 events this year. Are we happy to let those carry on, but to incorporate Drew's suggestion? We look at other ways of organising it, how we run it, who we invite, etc., etc. But seeing as it's all in place for this coming year financially, it's not going to be of any consequence to the parish council it's accounted for. If members are happy to let that continue this year, and then again, I know we're going to be doing a lot of reviewing in November, December, but I think it's right that we should do, and we consult with groups that we work with in the village and see what their feelings are. Somebody may have a better suggestion. It may be that next year at the Anston Day we have the awards at the later part of that. It's all up for grabs as far as I'm concerned, but I'd like to propose that we leave it as is this year, and then we look at it, the budget setting again. So, can I second for that? Can I show of hands all those in favour? Happy with that? Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Is that for as well?
Yes, that was for, so do we need to do that for both of them? We've done it for both, okay. Item 11.5, consider how Council and Manship's association with the Anston Skate Park Committee can be managed.
They don't like that, that's what.
In what way, in disturbing or?
Yeah, the clerk has suggested that we put on the 9 dispensations. Are you going to?
I was going to come in. What I think this is about is Miles is running a community group to try and produce a skate park for the good and benefit of the village. Now, obviously now Miles is a councillor, there could be possible conflicts of interest, and as councillors we have to declare an interest. It's not a problem, it's just managing the situation. My suggestion to Miles, it's only a suggestion because I can't tell you what to do on personal interest, is if you want things like finance or anything else, is if you contact the clerk or the chairman to put it onto the agenda, let's just say, for instance, you want to request £100. If you get it put on the agenda, and then when we come to discuss the skate park, if you just get up and leave the room, then there's no influence at any time that you are using your position to an advantage. There's no shame in going out of the room, but it just shows the public that you're a clean councillor and prepared to be upright. And I think that's probably the best way of managing it. It's
sorry, I mean, the clerk suggested that we maybe look at that on the in writing for dispensations, and then that would, we already have one.
that's another way of doing it.
I think that would maybe be the best route down, apply in writing for dispensation, and then that allows you to.
Yeah, one of the points I'm making is, again, is that leaving the room. I mean, in the past, if I've thought I've had issues that may be considered by the public, should we say, not right in the vote, some people used to think it was, should we say, I won't say shameful, but they didn't agree with leaving the room. There's nothing wrong with leaving and going out of the room. There's no stigma, there's no nothing. In anything else, it's better because it shows the public is being open and honest.
Okay, so it's part of the standard orders as well.
It's just, that's not what I was saying, that's what I was saying, but now it's an alternative that you may get dispensation.
I mean, that would apply to anybody who's got an interest in allotments to apply for dispensation. Have you got one for that?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way of doing it then. Yes,
We,
I know I'm conscious of that, John.
it is a strange thing, though, we are trying to become an independent group ourselves, but we are still quite tied to technically the charity.
Can I just quickly show we've got 2 minutes before we go into the public session. Can I ask that we look at the best route to take that to that dispensation or just mildly interacting? So can we move that to under the heading? And if do you want to,
Can I suggest that?
if the rule that Miles right in?
Can I suggest we have a discussion on the dispensations, because there's 1 or 2 points I want to clarify on the dispensation process. And I suggest once we've done that and clarified some points on what the actual process is, then it will be up for individual councils to apply for dispensation to the relevant authorities.
Yeah, but Martin just made the point that dispensation only lasts for 4 years, so if everybody stops the course, we're running for a year over that, so we need to review that because, yeah, go on. So you've got to renew your family vote because yours is renewed now. So it's something we need to look at because the 4-year term or 4-year span of the dispensation is not enough for the duration of the council before the next election. So it's something we need to look at. Yeah, we'll put it on the next agenda and we'll sort that one out. Can I just quickly to item 11A, which is to consider response to the letter regarding open access to Radford Meadow. I think we've all got this in your pack. This was something that Councillor Meiji lit upon when he travels on Radford Meadow. Just quickly have a look at
What number is it?
it's C21 8, I've got it as John. It's Councillor Mason sent it into the clerk. It was regarding a letter mailed to the entrance to Radford Meadow. There is a. Has everybody read that? Read the letter?
Can I come in and start off then? I thought I was going to come in first, but obviously not.
No, I think it's
Go on then, Stuart.
Right, there's been a letter or a sign posted on the one of the gates up at Bradford, and I think the person who's making the issue of that, they're not able to walk the dogs around the complete field when the steam rally's there. And the letter goes on to make an assumption, I haven't got it in front of me because I'm not going to have my paperwork, but they're making the assumption that they have a right, is it under the Roaming Act, to go anywhere in the field, and that's incorrect because the field is owned by the corporate body of the parish council, which in effect is a private landlord. I think that's correct to say that. I understand he wants to walk, well, this, I won't do it as an individual, I understand people want to walk a lot of dogs around, but if an event organiser, and I think this is the point that I was making, is if an event organiser hires the whole field or part of the field, I think they have a right to expect to have use of that without people walking everywhere. And again, Ivan's wrote quite a long letter about this, and I think he's right. There is security issues, especially involving around equipment. I'm actually chairing this working party, and I'm wondering whether it's maybe an issue that the working party maybe needs to seriously look at, of what happens when event organisers, because they have build days and debrief days, and I'm wondering whether it's something we need to consider in that working party.
I mean, actually, if everybody, I know everybody's read the letter, I can find it. I think Ivan sums it up fairly succinctly. He goes through all the points, and I think I'm bound to his superior knowledge about stuff like this. I think what we really want to do is reply to the I mean, I'm disappointed that somebody's decided to put it up on a gate rather than actually writing in the first instance, and it's been down to a parish council to see it and then bring it to our attention. Yeah, so as I say, if they were that concerned, then they know who the parish council is. They can also send a letter to the clerk raising that issue or a copy of that, and then we would have had it rather than finding it by chance somebody walking through there. So I think what we need to do is we need to respond. Right. So the clerk's just said if Councillor Machin's happy to use his email as a basis, then he will use that as a basis to reply to the writer of the or the person who put the letter. Yeah, we'll do it the right way. We'll send it back properly rather than pin it up on a I mean, they can take these comments on board and have a look at that, but I think we need to respond to you.
There is something when we eventually start looking at Anston Parish group or committee again, and that is that we are going to need to look at designation of permissive footpath routes on there rather than let them become public rights of way eventually, but that's for another day.
But as I say, I think I welcome your input on that. You know a lot more about it than I most of the council do, so anything that could allow the group get to the...
Just come back in.
Yeah, just quickly, Stuart, so I'm going to
I've forgotten about the issue of public footpaths. Just for a matter of due courses, there are two public footpaths across that field. I think one down by the side of the waterworks place and one goes across the middle of the field. Them two footpaths, the public footpaths, and they shouldn't be blocked by anybody. And again, it's something I'm going to be working on.
They're not designated. They are public footpaths.
Are they registered, Stuart?
Well, it's something we need to check then. If not, they do have, as far as I'm aware, they've got signs that say the public footpaths.
They are
the point I'm making is, whether there's one or two footpaths, if there's a public footpath there, then unless there's a proper formal diversion order or a closure order, then footpaths have to remain open at all times.
Can you say that there is no public footpath from our general knowledge of living in the village for so long? There's never been a footpath officially.
There is.
People just use it because
No. There is.
There is a sign.
That's why I started.
Just one at a time, please, let Councillor Major.
There are two legal rights of way across that footpath. They're marked on the definitive footpath. The rest of the field, over two sessions of 10 years worth of countryside access, have had permissive access throughout the whole field. That doesn't give anybody a legal right to walk wherever they want. It's permissive access. The only legal right people have got is across those two public footpaths, from Ratford Lane to Little Stones.
Well, I think this is a discussion that Michael's gone over. I think this is a discussion that needs to be fed into that working group, and I think Councillor Major needs to be, if not on it, actually helping out with ideas on that. I think Bradford Meadows is is something that needs to be looked at as a whole, as to how we manage that and make it work for the benefit of the parish. Can I close the council? Can I have a proposal and say to close the council meeting? Also do it for public session. Oh, sorry, proposal and second for Rapid Meadow that the clerk replies based on Councillor Majin's email as a basis reply. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, I'm going to call a halt then. We'll move into public session for 10 minutes if anybody wants to raise any issues. Just 10 minutes because we need to move into the session after that. You propose it to have a second? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Reynolds.
Yes. There seems to be a few extra group meetings which are cropping up. Are we understanding the cost of the hall hire for these?
I don't think we need to do that.
I mean, there's working groups which seem to be putting council business into, I suppose, private session. And as Councillor Thornton said, if these working groups are spending taxpayers' money for the hall hire, it ought to be open to taxpayers to listen to what's going on.
Comment on that, yeah?
Can I just clarify? This microphone's got, so I'll speak all loud.
It's all right.
Is your question to clarify who's paying for the extra meetings we're having? We have a system, and I'm going to look in towards the clerk for all clarification. The parish council, through its account system, they have a separate set of accounts to the charity, and there's a transaction in the account that the parish council pays for meetings to the charity, because it's the charity that owns the hall. So all the meetings that have been held, or any extra meetings, are paid for by the parish council. As for working group meetings, they're not normally open to members of the public because it's a working group. It's not
Yeah,
actual
but it's
committee.
using local taxpayers' money which paid for the parish council, and you said yourself that if it's something is being paid for by the local taxpayer, it ought to be open to the local taxpayer.
Well,
So that's what I'm saying of the working groups, because it seems as though you're putting council business regarding areas of the local vicinity into private session.
But there
Yeah,
And it's being put away from
no,
we
but,
have a reason.
taxpayers who are paying for these.
but it will be coming back to council. All of those working groups will report back, so there's nothing going to be
Well, I
at the
know,
end
but
of the
they're
day.
making decisions.
No, they won't. No, they've not recommendations. They've not got power to spend. It will only be a working group, and the recommendations will come back and then considered either by the charity or the parish council. So nothing's going to be done
But
behind
could
closed
members
doors.
of the public become part of some of these working
Well, it
groups?
depends. I think what we need to do is walk before we can run, Julie, and it's trying to set these up and see what the remits are going to be
Yeah,
and what they're trying to
Too
achieve.
late then.
Well, no, I mean, let's get this right. There's nothing going to be done behind closed doors. Anything that's discussed in those will be brought back here before any decisions made. And I think you've got to give us time to actually get these things up and running, because people are trying to, we've got 11 new councillors that are trying to find a way forward as to what half of these groups are. So I think you've got to give us a bit of time to get things organised, and we'll do it that way.
Can I just say that some are open to the public. For example, Anston Wood, if somebody's got a particular specialism or expertise or knowledge or interest, they've always been invited on that. I've sat on that group for a long time, waiting for a councillor. Likewise, when we wrote the parish plan, it was a group of, I think there was only one councillor on that, myself and various other members of the community got together to help write that. So I think it's a bit unfair to say it's going to be closed. There's always going to be some involvement from particular people in the parish, I'm sure, but as the Chair said, it's really important to make sure that those working groups get a lot of the grind and the hard work done, ready to bring information and proposals back to the full parish council so that it can be heard in this agenda, so that the public can hear it as well. And to me, that's always seemed very fair.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
If Mrs. Thomas first, Kevin, and then...
And it means,
Yes?
I want to go back to the discussion you had about the emails. If we fill in the questionnaire for you, we use IT, okay? It's not a form that we can fill in and bring in. If we want to talk to any of you now, it feels as if you're saying we can't. We don't get the 20 minutes in the beginning of the meetings anymore to say what issues we've got.
The meeting of the month is the 20 minutes at the beginning.
But when we talk to you, when do we actually get an opportunity, without you interrupting, to say, look, this is what's happening for us, and it just feels as if it's not being heard.
I don't quite follow that, of course, but
When we hold a parish council meeting, we have to follow certain rules and regulations. As the clerk's just said, in the third Monday of every month, when we used to have what called the proper council meeting, which we just changed, members of the public are allowed to come along and we have a 20-minute period which often runs over that, where you can ask any question you want on parish matters. That's the public time for asking questions. At the end of the meeting, we also have a 10-minute session in now, where you can make comments on what's happened on the parish meeting that particular night. The other way you can make contact with the council is to write to the council or write to the clerk and put on the agenda. This thing about, it might sound a bit odd, this thing about public wanting to join these working groups and various things. We've just gone through a process where members of the public could have put themselves forward to take part in the council, but they've chosen not to. And I find it a bit strange that people now say we're not being open and democratic, but we are. We're open and democratic, and you can speak on every third Monday, you can say anything you want which pertains to parish matters.
Can I just let the clerk clarify something?
Clarification. Members of the public cannot request agenda items. The member of the public wants something putting on the meeting, they need to speak to a councillor. If the councillor feels that that should be an agenda item, then that's no problem. But the councillors lead the agenda items during the meetings, the public can't, so therefore the public cannot put agenda items on meetings.
Did we be requested to come to a council meeting here tonight? Now, at a council meeting, the public have 20 minutes beforehand to vote to voice their opinions.
No, not in this one.
Why not?
Well, they do it doesn't apply to every council meeting. It's the one on the third Monday of every month. There's 20 minutes at the beginning, 10 minutes at the end. The other council meeting has the 10 minutes at the end, like we used to do the finance and general purposes meeting. So the public has still got 10 minutes at the end of that. So that's three bites at the cherry, so to speak, where the public have got a chance to ask the questions. Some places don't even allow that amount of time. Some parish councils, I can tell you now.
It's not clarification on standing orders, is it in the standing orders to state?
We want to be open, and this is a council meeting.
But we are open though now. I mean, how much more open do you want us to be?
Why can't this be a council meeting, same as the other council meeting?
Yeah, right.
Well, this is the...
I don't think it's a council meeting.
I have to say, well, the other option is to go back to the finance and general purposes meeting, which doesn't have a public session and only 10 minutes at the end. We've called this a council meeting to make it more inclusive with agenda items, so everybody's involved in it. If we go back to the old finance and general purposes meeting, one councillor, the last councillor on, steps down and can't take part. So that's not being inclusive as far as I'm concerned. So we've done it this way. The council, as I said, the public get two chances to speak at the third Monday in every month. They get 10 minutes at the end of this. Other councils don't even have 2 meetings a month, and they don't certainly give the public as long as we do. You know, I'm only speaking from my experience, but I think we do far more to engage with the public at these meetings than other councils do. They're still the only ones, as far as I'm aware, that actually fill the meetings.
I think because you've not been voted on, it's difficult for us to be able to, I'm going to use the word trust, what you're doing, because we're not having any dialogue. It's like you're all
so basically what you're saying is you don't trust the parish council. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's difficult for us too, because we don't know any of you, we don't know what your backgrounds are. We do the two that have been elected on tonight, but everybody else,
No. Well, I mean, that works both ways. I don't know everybody that's on the Friends of Anston Day group or the positions who hold that and who they are, what we do. So it works both ways. We take other people on
Yes,
trust.
but you are elected, you should be our representatives. Isn't that the purpose of a council? Is that what you're here for? To represent us?
Yeah.
And yourselves, your villagers as well. So, you know, it feels, because you're a new council, it doesn't feel as if we're being listened to now, because you're not letting us speak.
I think we've got to give us a chance. We've got to
I've
bed
got to
in.
ring Kevin in because he's been having his hand up for 10 minutes.
Sorry, Kevin.
Right,
Can I just finish off what I'm saying?
Let Councillor Daisy finish. I'll give you the time, Kevin.
We've gone through, I don't know, half a dozen meetings to get through a huge backlog of things. It took us a long time. We've had extra meetings. We've gone to a lot of trouble. We've had an incredible attendance from parish councils to get this done. We're nearly at the bottom of that backlog. We've put a lot of effort into it. And I think eventually we'll get to a stage where we can start taking more on board what people are saying rather than just clearing a big backlog and start to do things for this parish. But we've got to clear this lot out of the way first before we start doing things.
Like, you've got to be able to communicate that out, not just
Well,
to
can I
six
just say,
people.
this is the 5th meeting this month that we've held. I mean, that's impressive. I
No,
didn't
I
find a
agree
parish
with
council
that.
anywhere that's trying
I'm
to do
not
that.
condemning what you're doing, I'm saying the rest of Anston don't know what's happening. I mean, more and more people
Well,
watching the
the rest of
videos
Anston
now
can come to the
and
meeting
picking
and
stuff
listen.
out of that and complaining about that. So
You know, they can turn up at the meeting, they can watch it on
I
the
don't
video.
think- I don't-
Sorry, Kevin, I'm going to bring Kevin in now because he reads that.
I mean, it's no benefit to council at the moment. I hope you're taking what I'm going to tell you, because that's camera there doesn't tell lies. And when you sat here, like I've told you at every other meeting, you hear things, you listen to things, and you take them in, and then you hear things later on at meeting, and you take them in again. Michael said that he didn't want to see the council doing things behind closed doors as regards emails. So he didn't want them coming through the council to make it look as though they were doing things behind closed doors. But yet, I agree with what this lady said about putting things into private session by making groups. But if you're making groups where public can't see your thoughts, then you seem to be doing it behind closed doors.
No.
It will come back to
You're not grasping.
No.
But it feels like
Well, it may feel like it, but I assure you
Well,
that
the only thing that I'm
it's
saying
not.
is, if you think that that's right, then rather than spend our money on extra rent for extra meetings,
yeah.
do it by email.
That's it, but you can't do it. It's not possible.
So what I'm saying though is you're contradicting yourself.
No, we're not at all. As Councillor Mason said, the idea of the working groups is to get some of this work up and running and back to the council so we can discuss it between ourselves and
On
yourselves.
one hand you're saying that's fine, behind closed doors, public won't be invited, but yet on the other hand you're saying that by doing that through email, Michael's telling you that's not really
We're not doing it by email, that's the whole point.
That's exactly what I'm trying to explain to you.
Well, we're not doing it by email.
Michael's telling you in one explanation that that is wrong to do, but yet forming these groups that are groups outside the council.
It's not outside the council. I think you're not grasping how we're trying to get this work done. So you can't have a working group.
It's working. A decision can be made. The majority of councils look at the working group.
They don't. There's never a majority of councils.
Well, I heard you say last week, watch the camera, it never lies.
I know you keep saying that every week.
I do, but listen,
Yeah,
well, start watching them because the camera never lies. But I heard you say last week about one of these meetings, you said to these councillors, you can all turn up. Watch it on camera.
Well, I might well have said that, but I don't think they will do. If they turn up, they turn up.
Yeah, you told me you can't.
I'm going to let Stuart speak here because I don't want to...
Sorry,
Miles. Can I just point out you've got two arms?
Yeah.
One at a time, not both together.
Anyway, we did, I remember right at the very beginning we talked about surgeries as well as a more open forum. Right at the very beginning. Because it's a very bureaucratic and sometimes quite scary thing as well, coming into a parish council and trying to talk. It is appointed for a lot of time. I mean, we are allowed to do that. I mean, we can come here and be more down-to-earth human aspect and allow people to come and bring points to us which we can then forward to Michael for agenda options and things like that.
We can always, that's never,
But
never
again-
not been an option.
See if I can do a quick explanation. Right.
No.
Can I just,
Sorry,
no comments, please.
right. The first thing I'd like to say is you'll find that this council is going to be probably more open in all ways than what the previous council was. And you sit there, Mrs. Reynolds, shaking your head. You used to be a councillor.
Don't be
So you know what the
Don't be
system is.
rude.
It's not being rude,
I'm not rude,
it's,
I'm not being rude.
it's,
I'm
it's,
just going to
it's,
point.
For a long time ago.
Right.
yeah, well, it's,
Before
As long as correct what I've said. So let me carry on. Let me carry on for an
Can I
explanation.
just
So don't speak over
quiet,
me, please. Right? There's different ways councils can meet. We can meet as a full council when all 15 members are allowed to attend. The other way we do business is through committees. Them committees cannot have 15 people, otherwise it would be a full council. On the old finance meeting, we used to have 14 people. The other way we can do business, and this is all legal, it's in the rules. The other way we can conduct business is we can form working groups, such as the advisory group, which Mr. Reynolds was on previously. That comes under the auspice in a wider remit as a working group. Then working groups are normally set up to do specific tasks. Once the task, the group of councillors, and this working groups can include members of the public if the chair of their meetings decide it's relevant and seek permission. The working group, as the chairman says, gets rid of the nitty-gritty stuff that needs to be ploughed through. Once the working group comes to a decision, you're shaking your head, but I'm telling you the truth. Once the working group comes to a decision, that decision then has to be brought back to full council or to the committee that it comes under.
You're making a decision.
No,
can
let me
you just let me finish, please?
You're jumping ahead, so let me finish. I'm trying to...
Can I just
It's not helpful, Mrs. Thomas, if you keep interrupting.
Can you just let Councillor Thornton finish? June, can you just let Councillor Thornton finish and then we'll...
It's not helpful, but we are trying to be a more open council. And I'm trying to explain how things work so you understand it.
No.
Can I just 3 minutes speak as well?
Can I just...
Right, let me just finish off. Let me just finish off quickly, right? A working group comes together. Working groups can make decisions within the working group. They are not allowed to make decisions on behalf of the council. Once the working group makes decisions, they have to bring that decision back to either the committee they come under or to full council for approval. Working groups do not have the remit to make formal decisions on behalf of the council. Or spend money.
Yeah.
Committees, on the other hand, can.
Do they have a spokesperson?
Only make recommendations.
Do they have a
Make
spokesperson who comes back and feeds that into this meeting so that we know?
Yeah, listen, can I just make a point? I've raised this time and time again over the past year when, sorry Kevin, I'm just going to make a point here. When I've asked people who have chaired meetings, etc., we have not had any feedback to the full council as to where things are. We've not had it, we never had it from the allotments, we've never had it from staffing, we've never had it from various other groups. I used to bring one back regarding the work on this building every time we had a meeting. I've also brought reports back from meetings I've attended as a borough councillor that I thought were pertinent to the parish council. But I have never made decisions outside this. Everything that's been recommended has been brought back here, and the public here, nothing of those was done in private. Now, the other people did not wish to do that. I kept that on the agenda for months, and it was dodged all the way through. We never had reports on certain committees. That will not happen this time, because any working group or any committee will bring the stuff back in. It will be either verbal
Right, that was working
sorry?
That was working group you didn't get any information back on, but that was like Stuart said it was something to do with privacy with workforce.
No.
That's the reason that they couldn't get into council.
Well, yes, that was, but it's going to change in future, because when that starts, there'll be nothing that's discloses anything, but there'll be a general, if there's anything that's pertinent to the full council to disclose, then it will come back, but that's not happened before. But I can assure you that whatever working groups set up, be it to look at grants, Radford Meadows, etc., that stuff will be fed back in, and we'll either have a verbal report or a written report, and that'll be done when members of the public are here.
But you
So
don't...
no, just let me finish, Kevin. Nobody is going to be excluded. People will be informed of the recommendations. The council make a decision whether they go with those or not.
So if the 5 come in with their recommendation and they all agree on that recommendation, and there's another 3 councillors alongside them that stand turned up, they've got to take their decision anyway.
Perhaps we need timelines. Perhaps we need a
Can
timeline.
I just come back on that? One of the things that we've not had is that when we've had committees and working groups, it's never tied in with council meetings, and this is one of the problems. If it's missed one, it's maybe got missed again, and then you're 3 months behind.
Yeah.
What I want to do with the clerk, when we get all this backlog out of the way, council meetings quite right, we're working out to try and get all this stuff out of the way, so we look what we want to do. At this moment in time, we've got to get this out of the way, otherwise we're not going to have a strategy as to where we go. But we need to tie all those groups in with when there's a council, so if it's the week before, it feeds into the council meeting the week after. There'll not be 2 and 3 month gaps when nothing comes back, because we can't work on that, we can't make decisions when things are either running months behind. It's not relevant then, and that's how it fails. That's how it falls down. So that's going to change, but we've not got to that point yet. When we get this backlog out of the way, hopefully the next meeting, we'll then move on and get all this sorted out, and all that will be made public. There's nothing going to be done behind closed doors. I think everybody's in agreement with that. That's not the way we're going to work, and that's not the way people are wanting to work. So you just got to give us time to get that resolved. But we need to get this out of the way, get the decisions made, and then we'll move forward. And
As long as you tell us when you're going to feed those things back, when each group, it should have a set time period. We're working to timelines.
It will be on the agenda as to who is reporting from what group, so people will be able to see that. There'll either be a written report presented, or they'll do a verbal report, and members of the public will be able to sit there and then they'll be able to ask questions either at the end of the meeting. So there's going to be no exclusion or anything done behind closed doors, and I think everybody is. I hope they agree with that. That's the way we're going to work.
Well,
because we can't do it any other way.
We've just got to believe that, haven't we?
Well, I'm asking you to take us on face value.
We'll
That's
just
what
wait
we're
for
going
you
to
to
do.
deliver
Kevin,
the goods.
one last question.
Right. We all know you're in a newly formed council. We all know you're an unelected council. So my argument is now, you're trying to achieve a better public image in one thing and another and give everybody a better opinion at council. So can you explain to me, and I've asked this question before in other council meetings, can you explain to me that you've got an event going on at road which, intended by any parish councillors from here whatsoever, how come nobody's had the foresight to say, all right, we'll get a marquee, we'll get up there, we'll meet the people, we'll let the people know who we are. If anybody's got a problem, and don't tell me about council meetings because there's only 5 of us here. I'm sure there's more people in public than that.
Well,
if you're stuck,
question.
No, wait a minute, it's an interesting question.
You've answered the question, they're not interested.
Now, listen, if you wish to put a gazebo on that steam rally or any other event we had on there, place 2 or 3 councillors in it. We had Anston Parish Council across top. I'm sure that people out of this community would approach this council to see what were happening and what were what. And the other thing I'd like to point out, these councillors once a year, you're once a year now because you've only got one event, but how many events could you have if you use common sense? The other thing I'd like to point out, I'm sick to death of hearing about this backlog what you've got. This backlog was created by one council, Councillor Thornton, refusing.
Hang on.
Wait a minute, refusing to meetings.
No, we're not getting into personal attacks.
It's not a personal attack.
It is.
It is.
Why is that a personal attack?
Because you
You're naming him in that comment.
He refused to.
Can I just?
He refused to leave the table.
Can I just speak? Is this a question or is it just a statement?
That's what the back.
Because if it's irrelevant.
No, you see, Clive, this is it. When you get asked what you can't answer.
I can't. Because that's a statement, not a question. We've got. Would you look at it, Kevin? Are you going to shut up?
Are you going to organise for a marquee to go to steam rally so people can meet our new councillors?
What, in 3 days?
No, you should have done it before. The last council should have done it.
Exactly. Shall I tell you something? Sorry?
So should you?
What?
You were sat at the last council.
Yeah, I tried to bring that up about a marquee and people attending. I'll be going up on Sunday.
Well, you will.
Of course I will.
Because you're up for election next year.
No, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. I'm not starting to get into arguments.
Yeah, I'm not getting arguments with you.
Personally.
I'm not personal anybody, just saying.
Sorry, that's the end of the...
That's it.
We're moving into... It's our first time we're moving into public private session. Thank you.
Can we expect standing order 1B as well?
No, it's not better council
Yes.
now than it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I'll second that.
All those in favour, please, let's stay. Thank you. 15 minutes. Yeah. It's, I know, it's...
You are.
Come and sit with me.
Sorry?
If you can't stop here, I'll go on.
Then what?
If you can't stop here, I'll go on with you.
No, I'm not on it. But,
I said I'll go
what,
on
do you want to be on then if you come back?
I'm taking you on, stopping
No, I'll go out and meet outside. But I just don't want to take an argument all the time because I don't like it. That yeah, no, we need to just go. Janice is coming. No, we don't have to stay.
No, it's all right.
I live here, unfortunately.
Right, Mark, as long as we're quorum.
Next time.
You give me a lift.
I'll give you a lift.
Actually, next time I'll be in Anston. I don't need a lift. I'm going in on Friday. I have to.
Yeah, a bit of that.
If you give me a lift to Woodson, which is in from an I've kept to waiting.
So who's left?
We've got microphones switched off.
Yeah. We really don't need to switch it off. We're in a secret session.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
Close session.
Yeah, we're a full council. So